Hey everyone. Okay, today's a pretty special lesson. This is called the meta of the market. This is something that I do with students who I train at a deeper level. So people who enter mentorship and some of these different things that I do where I'm teaching people. Defining a market meta becomes one of the first things I teach them how to do. It's crucial to know going forward when you're thinking and talking about some of the more advanced positions we take and some of the more planned out and methodical trades that we look to enter. Basically, this is what I do. So I'm going to explain how I coordinate it in mentorship. That will give everybody here a good base to understand the value of it. Okay. I make my students write a meta report. So I call this a report on the markets and kind of what we can expect. The goal and the point of creating this meta market is to, or the meta of the market meta, however you want to say it. The point of this assignment is to understand, whether it be stock markets, the S&P, Bitcoin, anything, what the general tone of the market is. So we can set long-term expectations, so we can understand at a greater light some of the things that could potentially be happening in the markets. It is an invaluable tool that at first I make my mentoring students write a 1,000 word report on it, and then I critique them and we go over it and I see where they're not understanding what the meta of the market is. You know, typically somebody hears, oh, well, what's the meta of the market? They have no idea what they're doing. They have no clue on what it means to do it. And quite frankly, most people stumble with it. So no worries if you guys don't quite grasp it yet. It's okay. It's actually something that I force my mentoring students to go through multiple times. So I will tell them, okay, well, we're going to do it one time and then I'm going to critique it. And then I expect you to redo it again with this updated information, discuss what I think the meta of the market is and where these directions are going, and so forth and so forth. And we continuously build upon what these market metas or market moves may be. So one of the underlying things that I'm teaching them to do is to think long-term moves, right? So points of polarity, some of these different topics that we get into in butterfly effect or mentorship. I teach them to go after these more in-depth points, right? I teach them how to see things a little differently instead of just, looking at moves in the current space. We have to look at things as a whole. Yeah, the meta of the market is quite a nice exercise, and it's something that is a must. It's basically our guiding light every single day. So when we wake up and day trade, or in the afternoon or night or whenever you guys are day trading, it becomes your guiding light. It becomes exactly what you should expect throughout continuing to day trade, right? So I am going to kind of give a quick explanation how I would start this process, and you guys can feel free to write about it. I always encourage writing about the meta of the market because it does give you a different insight on it. It does allow you to put your thoughts on paper and then to reread it to see, okay, why was I thinking this back then? So we can use the meta of the market for a few different things here. We can use that as a tool to help refine ourselves over time, right? So let's write a 1,000 word report on it. This is what I expect my students for the first week. And then the second week, we go back and we look at this 1,000 words and we refine it and we make it, nicer and neater. It's another 1,000 words. Not 2,000, but 1,000 total. It's just refined after we say, okay, well, this is what you did wrong and this is what you misunderstood. So this is the same process I would like people to follow is to write about it, take it seriously, because it obviously it does help a great deal, right? So this is kind of something I would take a look at. So I would say, okay, what's the meta of the market? Meta of the market is understanding general tone of which direction things are going. So I would start with maybe a larger time frame, and maybe we can go to a different chart. So we can go to XBT. That's fine. Something with a little bit more history. So I would look at the overall tone of this, and I would say, okay, let's start to ascertain what the greater pieces of Bitcoin chart are doing. And then so fine, you have kind of area like this. You end up becoming here, and then that's fine. You have this trend like this. So this is showing long-term compression of the move. Once we break this long-term trend, probably looking to reach some levels back in this range here. You've got your trend would be from back here. So your trend would actually be like this right here. Got some of these levels in here that you're looking to target and hit. And for this sake right here, this is where BitMEX shut down, but the real level was to be found inside of here. So we can just use this for now, just for visual reference. And this gives us a very good baseline to even ascertain great forward look to Bitcoin. Because so what can we ascertain off this part of the move? Well, we know that we had a move up here. We're just going to line this up a little differently there. Even though it was trend that caught us, as you can see, trend is what supported this move in both instances. So we know we quite simply know that we are laddering up over time while trying to break a long-term trend. So even just a few lines here on the chart, and we can kind of develop an understanding of what Bitcoin is doing long-term. So I'm going to talk about that for a second to give some insight on what I would think the meta of the market looks like. And I won't go too deep into this. I'm going to give a very broad outlook from the start, but I don't want to influence people's decisions, because the reality is understanding the meta of the market gets into deeper theories. So this is kind of the very first point into working into some very advanced butterfly effect knowledge. This creates a foundation for things called polarity. This creates an understanding for data points in the future, something we call data points. This allows us to greater understand the various types of hold levels that are in the markets from moments in the past, because there are different types of hold and break levels. There's actually quite a few. We don't talk about them in future of trading, but in butterfly effect, we go much deeper into those different types of hold levels. So there's quite a different marquee of hold levels and quite a few different hold levels. What you won't see is the reaction points in future of trading, of course. And you won't see, all you see is your common hold and break levels, which once you keep moving forward, you quickly realize there's much more than hold and break levels. Although there is hold and break levels and their validity stays the same, there are different ways to explain them and extrapolate on them. Okay. So this also creates in the future the foundation to build what we call chart architecture. So there's quite a few different reasons that this becomes an invaluable exercise, because it is the gateway to quite a few different heavy base theories inside of day trading, right? So, all right, we're going to move on here. Okay, let's talk about long-term outlooks here. We have our long-term trend, and we can kind of zoom in here and take a look, and we know that this trend in this moment, for reasons outside of this video and more inside of butterfly effect, you have a very specific trend here that ends up supporting the move here, as to where this would was to drop back in the end of 2 years ago, so December of 2018, kind of a laddering point that started here, right? Ladders from here to here to here to here to here, and now to this point from here over to here. So we did create this. We are creating this long-term ladder. Visually, we can see this fidelity on the chart. It's right there in front of us. We do have all of these pieces right there. I won't discuss a lot of the more in-depth stuff that's going on here, because again, this is about understanding the market of the meta and meta behind the market, and I don't want to influence anybody. I'd like people to do this on their own to discover, but I will give away one little hint here. And that was to understand that if you are creating a ladder from here to here to here, this point would have been the next ladder. So if we had to simply just mark the bottom of this candle here, we can see that we never actually tested the bottom of it, therefore continuing our long-term ladder up, verifying trend, right? So we are verifying a long-term ladder up, and we do have a confining piece of this chart on the top, right? So we do have this confining piece here, which is here. We do have this long-term escalation up. And, next time we have a drop, we can expect it to, as a minimum, hold this step of the ladder. So, you're going to end up finding some type of hold level inside of here somewhere. Maybe it's something like this. I'm not sure. I dug deep enough to these levels, but if we do go through another major drop, then you would expect it very much to come down to this kind of a range here that still keeps this ladder going and can continue to hold trend, right? So that's the first piece to understand here when we talk about the meta of the market is we're looking at Bitcoin long-term, and we can see it's a long-term uptrend, right? We can see it's simply laddering long-term over the life of its move. And even if it were to come down to here, it can continue to hit this hold level. It was quite a bit lower, actually. It was actually right here at about 3,600 and change. So 3,600, but we can just use this line for our example today. and it could possibly hit this trend out here and then continue to move up, and our trend then would go like this. So, we have some different architecture that can develop, right? So we need to understand that, and that's a part of understanding this market meta, is that we have some bottom confines of this move. So we have some points on the bottom, an initial base point, right? Some things that we just simply can't break over. Otherwise, we will be starting to move this to some point in the future where we have a different type of ladder, possibly even out to here. Some type of new low. Maybe we come out here to this point and we adjust trend to there. Who knows, right? This won't be told to us until the move continues to develop a little further in time. But for now, we can ascertain that we simply do have hold levels being hit. This was meant to long-term test this level. We simply have this weekly hold right here, and we are still moving down in one way. Now, I don't think that means we're moving down past this $3,600 range. However, it is very likely that we do come down, possibly test something that is untested even into this range right here, right? We could even possibly test this and set a long-term trend out here, right? So maybe we come and test it in this moment. We come down to here, and we have tested it here, still continuing our uptrend from here, still continuing the base of the uptrend, meaning that over time, Bitcoin will move up. Might take 5-10 years, who knows? Might only take 1 year, or it might act instantly. This stuff develops in the moment, right? So we can't see two steps ahead in the future. We can always only see one step ahead in the future. So to guess what's happening 2 moments from now, we never can do it. But we can always understand what's happening in the next moment. That's why we can always pick the right levels and have the exact appropriate moments and these things like this. So we look at this chart, we can simply see we're moving up over time. We've defined the ladder, and we are now continuing that. Okay, so that's the bottom side. So there's a lot of information, and this is crucial to know. There's a lot of information this one trend is giving us, and just the visual fidelity of understanding there's a ladder here to here to here to here to here and now to here. We've only got 4 or 5 lines on our screen drawn, and we don't even need this one to understand the bottom, and we don't even need this one to understand the top. We can keep it, and that's fine. This also isn't a level that we need to know. So realistically, 3 lines can give us the entire base of what to expect on this move. For visual fidelity reasons, again, we know that the ladder is going to be moving up, so forth and so forth, right? So we can kind of re-add this here and say this might be a point where we look to go in the future. But again, no guarantees right now. But this is if we do drop and start to break down, this is where we would pick up steam again, right? 26, 36, 21. This is where we would go and we would pick up steam again. So if we do break this kind of trend that we're having here and we start to lose this, maybe we do something like this, backtest trend, and we can come straight down to this level. And this will support us in the future. So this would be another, your next great buying opportunity for Bitcoin. No guarantee that happens again. These couple lines define exactly what is going to be happening in this chart, right? These couple lines are already defining what we know of the base of this move and what we can expect going forward, right? So this is something I would have in my meta report. If I'm doing 1,000 words, I would kind of open the clause of this meta report, and I would write about what the bottom side of this means. So I understand what my potential outcomes are for the bottom side of this chart, right? So we start dropping and we start losing levels. I already have kind of this predefined notation of where this can go. Now we also have the top side, right? We also have the top side of this chart, and you simply have some levels in here, some hold levels up top, and you do have one right here. You do have a hold level right there in the chart that has held this move down. That was kind of the perfect short moment. That continues through the chart. So what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to break it. Let's pick a line. I am not going to break it past, let's say, this moment here, because I don't want to give you guys everything. Again, I want to give you a few pieces so you understand how we use the meta of the market, why we do it, because this is a living and breathing document that you need to be using on a regular basis. So this is something you should update once a week, just so that you understand the potential outcomes, and you know that, we are generally moving down right now, so we understand where our targets can be to support that move down. So for example, once again, if we were moving down from here and we laddered from here to here to here to here, and we are laddering to here, we know that this is going to be the top of the range, right? And this is going to continue moving us down until we can see if this can hold and stabilize down here. So this will continue to hold us down right here. And if this breaks, then we have the next point kind of, you have a different range of levels from this point here all the way up to here, back to here, right? So you do have a couple of different spots. Again, we won't talk about those because I don't want to give everything away to you guys. Is for you guys to do the work. But we know that the general tone of this could possibly be moving down. So then let's talk about this top here, right? So you have the big move up. Obviously, Bitcoin goes through its big move up, creates its hold level. Support the top of this move right here, just like it creates a trend to support the bottom of the move here, right? So trend is supporting the bottom side of the move. And we have a top of the move here, which will have its own inverse level, which is right here, which is simply hit. In this moment, we have its own inverse level right here. And you can dig deep inside this and, find your levels. I'm just going to mark it on the chart right here. I know this is the inverse candle on the weekly right here. So I know the hold level lives inside there, and it does because I found it before. We won't go digging for it again, but this is exactly where it is, right? So what can we ascertain off this? We can say that we had a big push up, right? We can say, okay, we had a 2-year move up on Bitcoin. It created a hold level. So we know we're not breaking above this mark to go up to 50,000 or 2 million or anything like that. The move is simply being held down over time. We are simply inversing the move and it's being held down. Like this was about the most obvious short in the world you could have, right? If you find that hold level, it's about the most obvious short in the world you have. Just like any kind of move where you have a falling off into an inverse hold level, right? You have a falling off here into an inverse hold level. Same thing we looked at, right? It's the same thing, just different time frame, literally the same candles, literally the same patterns. Nothing to hide here, right? This is very straightforward. Top of a move, inverse level. This will keep moving it down, right? So again, very straightforward. There's a lot of power in just that statement alone because we have this here creating a trend out here, right? Which is fine. We have a trend. So we'll talk about trend in a minute, but there's a lot of power in understanding that this is the top of a move and this is the inverse. So if this stops the move, you already know what an inverse hold means. It means that the move is going to be pulling back or moving down. So the events thereafter are very straightforward, right? You hit the level, you pull back, and then just like you would have had an inverse level, and we are going to stop it right here. Okay. So I will let you guys do the work after this point. And I want to make this as basic as possible to show you how much information can be ascertained just from a few lines, right? So let's do this and delete this one and delete this arrow here and delete that circle. And we are simply going to mark the same level right here, right? We're simply going to mark that same level right there. So we stop right here. We're not going to go past this. So this is going to kind of be the last point that we do discuss in terms of me giving you guys my kind of insight to the move and, where I'm taking some of these trades. So we have the top of the move here, which is going to have an inverse point here. This will create a ladder off the move. So if this does become a true event, so the meaning of we hit this inverse and it pulls back, we are creating a ladder down, which is going to start giving us our downtrend. So this moment creates the trend right here. This moment is what creates the hold level. So it's kind of like this flow of 1 right here gives us this number 2 right here. And if number 2 is hit here, you have this inverse level right here in number 3, right? So you have kind of this 1, 2, 3, and it's all very straightforward, right? So you create an inverse just the same as if you would have had the top of this move here, and I'll circle the area. So that entire area, you would have the same 1 right here, top of the move, that creates its own inverse here. That is going to create its own type of trend right here like this, right? So then you have 1, this is the 2, and it will give us our trend, which is a 3. So you could even have done this right like this, and you would walk through your hard closes here, and I believe it ends up being right here. It's somewhere in here. You'd have to go in here and walk through the move to find it, but it is somewhere in here, and then you break that, and you simply just hit your next level that's holding it back to create a ladder, and so forth and so forth. So again, this is where I'm going to stop. I'm not going to continue to break this move down because again, I don't want to influence people. There's still some exercise that has to be done here and you guys finding and discovering this stuff. So again, I simply just dictated a few levels here, right? I just dictated the trend on the top, what had created this downtrend, because this is the point that creates this downtrend, and the different parts of the move thereafter that will be created because of this event, because this will have its own whole ton of trends, and you have a global trend up here, a legacy trend, and you'll have a bunch of globals that get created here, and inverse points that are laddering down. But really, we can just simply see that with one line here, a second line here, and one line here, And we don't even need this. This is just kind of a future expectation. So this one isn't even really relevant. We've kind of created our own little Pandora's box here between this moment here and this moment here, right? Like we've already created our own Pandora's box here in this move. So even 2 lines here, and you can take away the trends. And even if you were to take away these trends, like let's go like this and let's go like this, you can still see the visual fidelity that you have here with the Pandora's box between these 2 levels, right? You can still see that you have a range between here to here. You can still see you're in a range between here to here, which will collapse further inwards as time goes to other points, right? Which again, I'm not going to give you guys that piece of the puzzle. That's for you guys to discover. And more so, understanding the general tone of what's happening here is crucial, right?